Thank you. All right, first thing on the budget is proposed deposition of real property. The Lee County Board of Supervisors will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, November 21st, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. in the General District Courtroom of the Lee County Courthouse, Jonesville, Virginia. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive public comment on the proposed deposition of real property consisting of a portion of tax article 53A-20-1. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on that?
Mr. Chairman, I just called board's attention to the plat that I just handed out. This, the parcel in question here tonight, or being considered tonight, is shown as tract B on this plat. It's 1.6 acre, or a portion of a 1.6 acre tract of land. So, it is that. Yeah, it will be just a little bit smaller than that, the portion that's being considered for this, because the county would be retaining a portion of that. But it's the bulk of that tract. I don't have a new survey tract for that yet, so.
No other comments, I'll close the public hearing. Next on the agenda is departmental reports. Anyone have any question on those? Next is the constitutional officers, treasurer's report. Is there any questions or comments on that? If none, we'll move on to the next thing, which is public expression.
We'll make this quick and easy. I'm Amy Byington from the Lee County Extension Office. I'm actually the Ag Extension Agent. And I'm going to share two things, and then I'm going to turn it over to them. But we do have the Extension Director is new. So we have Dr. Gutter, who's now over the State Extension. He will be at the Leno Wisco building on December 6th at noon. And I sent Dane an invite to send to all the current board members and the new board members. And he is one to meet with, people in the community, what they want to see out of extension. He's got some ideas. Some of those ideas include area agents that work on specific things, not just a county agent like I am. But he will be at Leno Wisco, and we'd really like to see as many people as we can attend that, just so that he can hear from us out this direction. The other thing is we're going to highlight these kids, but I'm going to start off by highlighting Maya. And Maya is actually going next week to National 4-H Congress. She got chosen to represent Virginia there, and it's in Atlanta, Georgia. And then now I'm going to turn it over to Andrea to share what else good things they've been doing. Also, Riley went to the turkey pardoning yesterday, and we got him back safely. So he did not bring any turkey with him, but he had a good time.
Hi, Bill. It's good to see you. I'm Andrea. I'm the Family and Consumer Science Agent in Lee and Scott counties. But I'm actually here tonight to highlight these 3 youth that participated in the National 4-H Food Challenge contest in Dallas, Texas, back in the first week in October. Not only is it a really big honor for them to have gone and competed, but they placed 3rd in the nation. And the first and I do think it's important to say that the 1st and 2nd place teams were from Texas too. So really in our mind they won 1st place. But during the food challenge contest, they're given a key ingredient and then tasked to make a dish as a team in 40 minutes. And then they also have to give a presentation on the nutrients in the dish, the food safety, the cooking methods, how much the dish costs to make. It's a really practical contest for as they get older too, since we all have to cook at home. But I'm gonna let them just say like one of their favorite parts of the trip.
Mine was definitely the competition. I like going to different states that I've never been to before.
Mine was buying patent Texas.
And once you share each individual that's on the team.
Oh, yes. Yeah, y'all say your names.
I'm Tyler Bellis.
I'm Maya Maria. I'm Cameron Lee.
And they also represent 3 different schools, Lehigh, Mount Empire, and Thomas Walker. And we'll try not to cause any problems, and we appreciate your all support.
Thank you. That meeting is on December the 6th.
This is a Wednesday at noon. I will feed you lunch. It may not be chicken and dumplings, Stevie.
Imagine that.
Thank you. That's a great accomplishment. You know, folks have been awarded with. I appreciate your hard work and dedication. Hang in there.
We'll try to do it again, right?
Yeah.
Except for Tyler. Tyler got too old.
He's a co-coach now. Yeah.
He's too old now. He's got Thank you all.
Thank you. Anyone else in public expression? If not, I'll move on to the next thing, is approval of the minutes of the October 17th, 2023 regular meeting.
Motion to approve. Second.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion? If none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next thing on the refund request is, or on the agenda is a refund request for Wanda Anna's Toyota lease trust and Clyde Moore.
Make a motion to approve all three.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. County Administrator reports that payroll warrants have been issued. Next thing is approval of disbursements.
Motion to pay our bill.
Have a motion to pay the bill. And a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Next on the agenda is old business. Donated real estate. Mr. Pope.
Those are out, 4 signatures, still doing a little bit of research and homework on a couple of tracks to make sure we've got the right description on those before we prepare deeds.
Thank you. Next is scanner printer and the circuit court.
Hope to have those by the December meeting, to have quotes on those.
Sheriff Department vehicle bids.
Oh, well, that one, finding police vehicles is not easy right now. We brought you information on vehicles that supposedly free before we found, but they never could produce any documentation on that. They were supposed to be getting 20. So that offer went off the table, and we started looking other places. We did locate 2 other vehicles that met the specifications that the sheriff's office was looking at. They were within the price range or lower than the 4 that we were looking at, or the 2 or 4 that we had asked about from Freedom Ford. So we were able to ultimately, we got 2 standard police cruisers. 2 of the vehicles they were replacing were going to be going to investigators, which do not have to be police rated. So on those that went with the standard Explorers, again, just basic equipment, nothing fancy, and all of these within the price range of what was required. Because of the way these things were disappearing, and I mean, one day they contacted one dealer, they had 2 vehicles, and the next day one of them was sold. So anyway, we have purchased 4. Well, we've purchased 3. We've got a 4th one that is in production and will be received at Johnson City, hopefully within the next month or 2. We've got that one. We've submitted a purchase order for that to hold that vehicle. So that will be 4 of the 6 planned vehicles that will be purchased under that. And we felt together with the sheriff's office, they agreed that probably best to just hold off 2 or 3 months on the other 2 vehicles and see what shakes out with production from the manufacturers. So that's where we're at on that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, would ask you to back up, we skipped over finance, supplemental appropriation.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I missed that. Anyone have any questions on the supplemental appropriations? If none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? If none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is new business.
I'd like to make a motion to table bill board and zoning appeal.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is Lonesome Pine Office on Youth. I make a motion to reappoint Christy Flannery.
Mr. Chairman, I think the issue, they wrote a letter to us.
Yeah,
that
they
she never missed a
requested
meeting.
that she be removed
Oh.
because she was not attending meetings.
Okay. Then I'll withdraw the motion. Anybody else have someone?
I've got somebody, if you all don't, but I made a motion on the last 2, but if you all have somebody,
It's fine with me.
I'd make a motion, we appoint K. Jesse Williams.
Have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? If none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is Public Service Authority.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to reappoint Harold Gerald, PSA.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we appoint Bill Carter.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is Western Lee Sewer Easement Plans.
You've got one more appointment there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, Appalachian Juvenile Commission. Got carried away with main pen.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve Alan Crockett to the Appalachian Juvenile Commission.
Have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, before you move on to this additional business, in the board appointment list, I did not catch this before it went out, and where Angie is relatively new with it, she hasn't been through an election cycle. On the list of appointments that you have for December, that is that's not accurate. Many of those appointments will not come until January. She goes by the termination date of each term, which is 12/31 on these, but a lot of these are appointments of board members. Your terms expire with your term in office, and so I failed to explain that to her, and I didn't realize we had all these on here until packets had already gone out. So several of those will fall off and actually come up in the January meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Pope. Next is Western Lee Sewer Easement.
I want to change this up a little bit from what I've got requested here, because what I have in here, we have reached the point in the Western Lee Sewer project in the design phase, or that we had started looking at obtaining easements for the project. We'd already obtained rights of entry on a lot of properties, but we're having to go back now for the actual easements. And because these we have to, by the Corps of Engineers requirements, at least offer payment for these. We had to employ both an appraiser, and that will also, to culminate that, will require easement plats to be prepared by the engineering firm or by an engineering firm. We have had submitted 2 appraisals credentials to the Corps. One of those was not accepted, the other was, but we have not signed any kind of contract with them at this point in time. But I have had estimates for both the appraisals, and I've got a proposal actually from the land group for the plats. Listed those amounts in your in the memo there, $50,000 and $55,000 respectively. These costs have to be borne by the local sponsor, which is the county, and we get credit for that in our total sponsor share of the cost. Originally, I had asked that the board consider approval of the land group contract, but at this point, after a couple phone calls that we've had, one with the appraiser and the Corps, and an additional phone call with just Corps, I'm not going to ask for any action on that contract or the proposal that the land group issued. We're hopeful through some discussion that we may be able to reduce these costs, and there's some terminology and requirements from both the state of Virginia and the Corps that we're trying to hash out and get to the bottom of on the appraisal side to reduce the type of appraisal that has to be, or to reduce the scope of the appraisals that have to be done. And keep in mind, like it's in the memo, there's about 85 or 90 easements in question here, along with about 6 or 8 properties to be acquired in fee simple. So what I would ask, in one paragraph, what I did ask the board to consider was the use of American Rescue Plan Act funds for these costs. This is infrastructure, and this would still count as part of the county's cost share in the project. And again, I had this down before we had the 2 phone calls that we've had since this was generated last Tuesday. But at this point, to approve anything in final form, I'll hold off until we've worked through this. It may be 30 days, it may be just a little bit longer before we get all of it worked out. But I think I'm definitely on board with the Corps and trying to reduce the cost of this. So we're trying to work to the bottom of that. But I would go ahead and like to ask that you do allocate funding for this out of the ARPA funds.
Dean, I got one question. On the easement plats, is the land group the only group that can do that, or
They have the
why
contract.
do we go with that?
Well, they have the contract with the Corps, and they are doing all the design work for it, so they already have all that information.
So they are already under contract.
Yes, with Corps. So, but if you bring in another
Well,
engineer.
we're the ones paying the bill, right?
Not for that, not for the design work. We would be paying for the plats. But again, that's one of the things we want to discuss with the Corps. And that's one, they want to look at this as well. There's some thought that that some of that cost may be in their existing contract. But if you bring in a separate firm to do the plats on it, then they got to go down and do the surveys. That claim should already have a lot of the background information on it.
Well, yeah, I understand that.
And again, I'm saying this cost we think is going to come down.
They already have that information, so that ought to save us on cost. But my argument would be, I mean, just because they got a contract with the Corps doesn't mean they have a contract with us. If we're paying the bill, we ought to have some say so in who does it.
Well, you will. You will ultimately decide who does the work or who doesn't. But again, our goal is to negotiate a lower price on this to bring it into you. If we are going to open it up, and it makes sense to use them if at all possible, simply because they're already working on the project and have familiarity with all of the easements and have a lot of this information already worked out. if you want us to go out for procurement on firms to do it, I can go out for cost proposals.
Well, I just wasn't
for
sure.
companies. I'm just saying, if you want to open it up and have several firms submit quotes, we can do that. But I wouldn't expect it to take it to it any cheaper, just to be honest. Because they would have to prepare a lot of the information from scratch that's already generated out there. Because we can't use Lane's work and hand it to another engineer.
I would kind of be interested to see what everybody else puts out there. Personally.
Well, my thoughts on that is if you do hire somebody else besides the Lane Group that doesn't have the information they already have, it's gonna cost you more.
Well, I mean, we don't know that unless we try. I mean, we're not paying for somebody to send us a bid.
Well, the Lane Group's not gonna hand over their information to whoever we hire if they don't get the
Well, I
contract.
understand that. I wouldn't expect them to, but I would expect them to have some competition on the price. I mean, we're just basically just handing it to them, say, you all charge what you want, you know.
I think we need to get the PSA's blessing on the contract. I mean, they're the ones that are working with them, not us.
I'm not asking you to approve contracting out.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm saying, I don't want to touch the contracting out because we think we can make some drastic changes in this.
Well, I
I get
understand
that.
what you're saying also, but I mean, we're gonna have to make a decision at some point. I don't have a problem. I think you're right by asking for those funds, but, you know, I just don't want it to just be thrown upon us with, you know, this is what we got. I would like to see some, you know, some competitive bids toward the Lane Group.
And I understand you're not asking for us to prove it, but even if you come back and say, I got it down $10,000, I still think if that's who the PSA is gonna be working with, it's not gonna be our board or the next board, it's gonna be them that's having to deal with these folks. I think they ought to at least say, yeah, we're okay with this firm and this contract's increased.
The PSA really won't be working with them. They'll be working with the county to prepare this information. The county is the sponsor for this project. The PSA will be more involved when it goes to construction. This is just for the easements.
I mean, it's the PSA's project, it's not the board of supervisors project, we're just paying for this portion of it. Agreed?
Well, you are the sponsor with the Corps of Engineers.
Who's gonna pay, who's the money gonna go to when there's a sewage bill?
The money to pay for the project will come to the county. We will in turn
I get
pass that
that, but
money
this
to
is,
them.
they've been the lead people on this, not the board of supervisors. But they're light years ahead of us on what's going on with this. I just think it's good taste to say, are you okay with
Well-
using this firm and is this contract satisfactory to
The
you?
PSA is involved in all the calls.
They have not seen this contract, or
Oh,
at least
okay. No.
ahead of the PSA, because I asked, are you okay
Yeah.
with this, and said, haven't seen it.
Yeah, well, I've only had it a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So do you want me to advertise for additional firms?
I think we should talk more about it in closed session since it's a contract matter.
Okay.
Do we still need to approve the fund?
If you want to wait till you've talked about it, then we can go from there.
Moving on, used buckets for excavator, transfer station.
The Public Works Superintendent is requesting to purchase a used 18-inch wide bucket for the county's excavator. The existing bucket's 36 inches wide, it's too large for some of the applications that it's used for, which means that if we had a smaller bucket, it would be less ground disturbance on some of the projects and would decrease the cleanup time in doing some things. He's got an estimate, or not an estimate, but a cost attached. Ignore the second item, that was something that he had requested months ago that's no longer in play. But he's got a quote from Carter Machinery for $1,445 for a used bucket. Or an 18-inch bucket, not a used one, I'm sorry. It is a used one, but it's in good shape.
I'll entertain for a motion.
I make a motion to approve that 18-inch bucket.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next is the grant writer contracts.
current contract with grant writer Robert Boss expires November 30th. The current rate for services is $1,050 per month. If the board wishes to renew the contract, I need a motion to do so.
Make a motion, we renew the contract at a figure of $1,075 a month.
Did you say 1,075?
It's $1,050 now.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I have a comment of what benefit is this.
Being the grant writer,
Yeah. How much money we got in the last 2 years?
I couldn't tell you the money that anybody brings us in 2 years. I mean, there's a lot of departments that get grants, but for me to put a dollar figure on it off the top of my head, I don't know. But I know that everybody that I send to him, he pursues grants. Whether or not he gets them all, I don't know, but I know he's got the sheriff's department some money, and I know he does more for the airport really than any one individual. That's not part of his job description, but he works at the airport like it's his job.
That stuff with the sheriff, they sent bad information down. It wasn't something he picked up on. But anyway, got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Aye. Next is board appointment. You want to cover that, Mr. Poe?
The former community development director had been appointed to some different boards, the 9th District Development Financing Incorporated, the Heart of Appalachia Tourism Authority, and Southwest Virginia Regional Recreation Authority, which is commonly referred to as Spearhead Trails. These are all basically tourism-related boards. The Heart of Appalachia appointment is designated by code. It's whoever the local tourism director is, that's who that falls to. He's also appointed to the Lonesome Pine Regional Industrial Facilities Authority. Across the region, that's made up generally of county administrators and economic developers. It can be others, it doesn't matter, for each county and city. And then finally to the Regional Improvement Commission, which is the entity responsible for making decisions regarding the proceeds, funding proceeds from the Bristol Casino taxes. I have attended the last couple of Regional Improvement Commission meetings as a designee of that individual, but to clear up any miscommunication or misconstruing authority to vote on matters and things of that nature, I would request that the board make official appointments. Whether you do it tonight or you want to wait till next month, I don't care, but I just think we need to clear those appointments up.
Is there a way to let you serve on them for a couple months and then maybe let Robbie serve on some of these? Or are we stuck with 4 years or 2 year whatever?
Well, no, I mean, at any point, if the board wants me to step back, if you want to appoint me to them and then the board wants me to step back from them, that's fine with me. The Regional Improvement Commission meets at most once a quarter, at most. And then the others, the Regional Industrial Facilities Authority, I'm already on. So that could be someone else. That could be a member of the board that could fill that slot until such time, or anyone else that the board wanted to designate. And then the tourism appointments, again, I'm semi-covering that, I guess, by default. So the Heart of Appalachia one is fine. The Spearhead and 9th District Development Financing doesn't meet that often. I'm not even sure if they have face-to-face meetings or if they do that some other manner.
What about that, we ever had somebody from our tourism board sit on the Heart of Appalachia board?
We have Karen Maggard's already on there, as she's on the tourism board, but she's also on Heart of Appalachia as a, trying to think what the classification is, before she has rental properties, she's already on there.
Do y'all have anybody in mind for any of these?
No.
My gut feeling is let Robbie sit on some of them until we get a tourism EDA director. Let you sit on them until he comes on board.
Be fine with me.
Can we table this till next month?
Yeah, I don't think anybody be meeting, it could be immediate question.
Well, if they do, you'd still be taking, going anyway if need be, wouldn't you?
Yeah, if need be. The Regional Improvement Commission is the one that I worry about on a permanent basis, making sure we've got that locked down.
Make a motion, we table this till December meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Next is reports and recommendations of the county attorney.
I don't have anything to report.
Next is reports and recommendations of the county administrator.
Got 2 or 3 items real quick. Hope to have this one in board packet, didn't get the invoice in time. This is an invoice from Glass Machinery for the parking lot construction behind the courthouse here. The project is complete with the exception of some hand railing, and that's being constructed by, or built by a local vendor for them. They submitted the invoice with 10% retainage deducted from that, which is $27,229.08, which is more than enough to cover the cost of the handrails. So the invoice request at this point is $245,061.72.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve, do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second, any discussion? If none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Same.
One other, this one comes from Public Works Superintendent as well. They have had for years a scraper blade basically for the tractor. And there's no way to get good down pressure on it. It's a good blade. He said the paint was hardly, hadn't even been worn off of it. But at most of the locations that we use it, you're talking about compacted gravel and stone, and very difficult to get any kind of down pressure and force to cut and grade with. He's recommending that blade be sold and that purchase a blade specifically for the excavator, or the skid steer, the skid steer. He looked at an attachment that would allow them to use that blade, the existing blade on the skid steer, but the attachment, or the adapter that he was going to have to get was, I think it was like $7,000 or $8,000. So he looked at this, which is $6,105 for a 6-way dozer blade that could be put on the skid steer, which would give them more down pressure and force that they could use to grade and level and cut at the convenience center sites and other miscellaneous projects that they're designing.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion second.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion? If none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
The only other thing I have is a personnel matter for closed session. Will be very brief.
Thank you. Reports and recommendations of the board. Mr. Smith.
I don't have it.
That's on the letter from Waste Management. Is that accurate as to what the contract says, that they go up that amount?
Yes.
The only other thing I had is the airport board and the PSA board are paid $50 per member per month. That's out of line with some of the other boards. I think we need to get those uniform, and they haven't had a raise in quite a while. what would y'all think about putting both of those boards at $75 instead of 50?
Is it what the airport gets 50?
They get 50 and the PSA gets 50, DSS gets 75, I don't know who else gets 75.
It's most of the local appointed boards are 50.
They ought to be uniform for uniform work, I think, and, I mean, the airport meets once or twice a month at a minimal. PSA, I mean, that's a pretty important board. I mean, you got Lena Wisco board, 125, and I know we don't set that, but just for example, the amount of work you do there versus on the PSA board, it seems to be no rhyme or reason to it, but, I mean, I don't think they haven't had a raise since, in the last 4 years, I know.
No, well, none of the board pays have been raised in several, I mean, most of these that are $50 have been $50 ever since I've been here. And of course, like you said, the Lena Wisco, we don't set that, we don't pay that.
Right, I understand that, but you all be okay with that?
Well, you don't have to raise a lot more boards. There's a lot different, more different boards.
What else would there be? I'm not opposed to it.
If you want to look at all of them, we can bring that in next month.
Let's do that.
Maybe a list of all boards and what they pay.
That's all I have.
Mr. Jesse,
No, sir.
Mr. Leonard, and I have nothing. With the closed session,
We're doing,
investment public funds, personnel.
make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to 2.2-3711 sub A, 1 personnel, 6 investment of public funds, 3 acquisition or disposition of real property, 7 consultation with counsel concerning threatening any legal action, and 29 contracts.
Motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? We are going in.